All right, thank you so much for staying with the Monday Report. You're just in time for the town hall session this evening. We're talking about politics and money. The question we're asking you is, can you be a leader in this country without money? In my audience tonight, about 10 Kibra by-election aspirants are joining us this evening. They'll tell us what the experience was like on the ground and how they navigated the Kitu ya Macho concept. And also, my panelists, I'll start by introducing them from my immediate left. Honorable John Paul Mwirigi, Member of Parliament, Igembe South. He's also the youngest MP in Kenya today and also campaigned on a near-zero budget. He'll tell us how he managed to navigate that. Steve Ogola is the next. He's an advocate and also has been studying very closely the Elections Campaign Finance Act. He'll be speaking to us about that as well. And Mule Musau is the National Coordinator, ELOG, which is the Elections Observation Organization, very widely involved with election matters. And last but not least, Mohamud Jabane is the Manager, Legal Services at the IEBC. They are the custodians of that law. He'll tell us whether it applies and how it works. So I'll start straight with the candidates in the House. They'll tell us what the experience was like. And they always say ladies first, so she'll introduce herself, tell us which number she came under. In elections, there's no losing, per se. Someone has more votes than you did. Start with your name.
Thank you, Trevor. Fridah Kerubo, independent candidate for the Kibra by-election. I'll say...
Sorry, let me handle this for you. Just 1 second. Yeah, do that introduction again.
Thank you. Fridah Kerubo Kengara was running on independent ticket for the Kibra by-election. First and foremost, I'd like to tender my sincere gratitude to the people of Kibra for ensuring I was in the ballot, battling it out on a ground that is being perceived as patriarchal. But we made it. We didn't win, but in politics, as you say, there can be one winner, and as much as others we lost, but we don't perceive ourselves as losers. There's something we delivered in Kibra. That's why you saw there are numbers that believed in us. The other thing I would say is that as much as it was tough, it was fun as well. Because you realize that in politics, as much as you're saying that you must have money to win an election, I don't take it as true. I'll say you might not have that budget and you can make it and sail through. Another thing is that, especially in town politics, Nairobi, Kibra in particular, it was a competitive race. You saw what had happened. You have asked about the Elections Act. I'll say most of the time the code of conduct was breached, but not much action was taken. The IBCs can respond to that, as well as other candidates. As an independent, there were so many challenges, especially traversing the constituency, talking to the constituents. You realize they're telling you like, this is a particular political party, so if it were you are running on a particular party, it could have been very possible. But you realize
so the main concern is that you are an independent and you're not affiliated to any party.
Yeah, so it was like, it's good to try.
So they elect people based on parties and not your agenda.
Your agenda, what you're saying? Yes. And you realize that the mindset of many, as you had said, in terms of finances, it's there. Actually, they can even tell you, if you're not giving us anything, we are not ready to listen to you.
Did you have that experience yourself?
Yes. Unless we change that mindset, especially young people of my generation, will go places.
So it's the young people who ask for money?
Okay. Yes, especially young people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get another experience from one of the candidates as well here. Just introduce yourself and tell us which party ticket you ran through, or if you're independent as well.
Okay, my name is Okoth Abraham Opondo. I ran as an independent candidate in the Kibra parliamentary, in the by-elections of Kibra, just that on Thursday last week. And I can confidently and proudly say I came number 5, just below the big 4. And I mean, it's interesting knowing that the big 4 all had the godfathers, from the first having Raila Odinga, the second having Ruto, the third one having Musalia Mudavadi, and the fourth one having Wetangula. I just had the people
When you call them the big four, do you mean their policies were better than yours, or they had better backing?
No, their policies were not better than ours, but the media made these candidates because if you get a chance of listening to the people sitting on this panel, some amazing women and even the young people here, you'll get to understand that we had other better people in the race, but maybe it was not our time this time round. And
is it about the media or the people you speak to on the ground? Because the people who are electing you are not in the media. No,
the truth is media creates a lot of perception, and we are not going to run away from this because we tried even reaching out to the media stations a few, but they were telling us, you know, you cannot make stories, and that's why today we are here. And I mean, we cannot hide this forever. Some of us, people just go to hear of our names on the election day.
Okay.
And this is not because we chose so, but we were giving it our best. So just on the question you're asking about money, I know things can be done different because I've seen even the hundreds who showed up to vote for the independent candidates or the little known candidates. Imagine these are people who woke up on that very same day and chose not to listen to whatever was said about the other candidates and chose to elect us. I cannot say that we failed because even winning those hearts to wake up and go vote for us, that is a plus.
Okay.
I know we just have to do much. The politics of issues is not really selling in Kenya, but I know day in, day out, we're changing something, and this thing is going to change. We just have to believe in ourselves as young people that something can be done differently.
So if the politics of issues is not selling, what is?
I think money is still really playing out large and loud in our communities.
Okay.
And most of us, especially the people born in these kind of communities, I mean, we've not really gotten to the level where we can afford to even, let's say, print the 10,000s of posters that these people are printing, campaigning on Land Cruisers and maybe sponsoring very big trucks for road shows. Ours are just moving from church to church, and let me tell you, Trevor, someone lied to us that church is the cheapest way to campaign. Churches are smart. During campaigns, that's the time that they organize all manners of fundraising. They'll tell you, you know what, before you speak, look at our roof, look at the floor, look at such and such. So, I mean, there's no, I don't think you can campaign on a zero budget. I like the term that you used, that close to zero budget. Certainly it cannot be a zero budget, because even just printing a poster, it costs you something. Sending a message costs you something. So it's just a matter of knowing how we are going to handle this. Maybe we need to get into the system and know how to sail through.
Okay. I'll take one more view from one of the candidates, and then I'll get more reactions from them. There are quite a number of them. Just introduce yourself and tell us what the biggest challenge was in terms of campaign financing and how you think we should fix it going forward.
Thank you, Trevor. My name is Felix Anditi Awor, and a candidate in the concluded by-elections in Kibra. I want to say thank you to the people of Kibra, because the times are changing, and we know when you vitu kwa ground in different, when you see us having votes, it means they were able to be convinced and we won their hearts. And even together with that, with all the machineries, with all the big monies and the big personalities, more than 50% of the voters were not convinced to go out and vote. Money was there, personalities were there. So I know Kenya is ready for issue-based politics. It's only that some of us did not have the capacity to bring these issues to a larger audience.
Okay.
But we did our best, going door to door, market to market, church to church. So I thank God for being in Kenya at such a point, and I want to encourage young leaders and people that have got something in them, that want to see this nation making steps, that this is the time to wake up, because there's the opportunities there. We saw some of these big people bringing all their arsenals, all their supporters from everywhere. It means it was not very easy, and it wasn't very easy because we were there. We were also a threat. So I believe politics is not about money, though you need money, because even for you to be cleared by IBC, there's some charges you need. For you to get a few posters, for you to get some airtime to talk to somebody, you need the money, but not big money. Because leadership is not about money. If we believe leadership is about money, that means we will do everything to manipulate our people in line of money, and that's why we have things like corruption, integrity issues, and all that. So I'm of the opinion that we can make this Kenya better and greater. And thank you to the fellow contestants and those who have turned today. It's a show that Kenya is ready for change, and the young people are ready to drive this nation to Vision 2030.
All right. Musa, I'll start with you. You've been involved with elections a lot. When they say that it's not money-based, is that true based on the statistics that you have?
Well, first let me appreciate the caliber of people who ran in that election. I mean, the young people I'm seeing here who dared to run in an environment where most of the time is usually very skewed against younger candidates, against people who are not moneyed, people who are not very well connected, people not in the big parties, as she was saying. So I think the question for me is that if you're talking about money, the practice is that if you're going to run in an election, in any elections, the basics that you need. You have to pay charges, like you're saying, to IEBC. If you're in a political party, there are nomination fees. There are logistics to be run. You're going to canvass an entire constituency. You're going to sell yourself to people. The winning margin, the winning numbers for the top candidate in Kibra was 24,000 voters. You need to convince these numbers. They need to know who you are. So there's going to be media, a lot of publicity. There's the printouts, the posters, sorry, that have to be developed. So basically, we expect that is going to be some money. If you decide to run for any seat, whether it is an MCA seat, whether it is a member of parliament seat, money has to be involved.
It's the amount that is in question.
The question, I think, what we are supposed to be discussing and where the problem is a kind of astronomical figures that people are using to be able to campaign. And let me use this as a statistic. First, from the campaign financing regulations, the bill which had been proposed by IEBC, and they'll be able to confirm this. The spending limits which had been set by IEBC for you to run a presidential candidature or candidate for that particular seat, they are put a limit at 5.2 billion. So you start asking yourself, do you want to run for president? Because that's a limit that was seen as economical even by IBC on the basis of their calculations. For you to be able to run as a governor, a senator, a woman rep, in the biggest counties you need around 433 million. The smallest of them, I think, which was Lamu, was around 12 million or thereabout, 33 million. Yeah. And then you have the member of parliament, again you need about, no, it was 12 million. And then the member of parliament, the highest Kandui, you need around 33 million. So you're looking at amounts of money here, which becomes very difficult for especially new candidates and the younger candidates to be able to get themselves into the political game. Yeah. So it is limiting the kind of environment that we're having right now, and especially where money is one major factor. And we have not even added the question of voter bribery. Yeah. Now these are the issues which bring out money, because there's the formal money and then the informal money. People are being given money left, right, and center. In the country, in this country, we have created a culture of accepting money. Yeah. We seem to be, as Kenyans, we are okay with the fact that during campaign time, it's harvest time. And everybody, therefore, will not ask any of these candidates to go out there without carrying something, some 50 shillings, 100 shillings. I hear in Kibera it was between 500 to 1,000 shillings, and if you want their vote. So at that first instance, that's a major skew in the election environment. Okay. There's no level playing.
It's not a level playing field. Yeah. The Election Campaign Finance Act, Mr. Jabane, was meant to address these same concerns. Many people are wondering, are those figures practical? 5.2 billion shillings for presidential and 33 million and above. But still, are they even adhering to them?
Yes, thank you, Trevor. First of all, let me thank the candidates who are here today for making a very valiant effort to make a stab at this politics. It's not politics as usual anymore. I'd also like to thank the voters of Kibra, which is our latest by-elections, for actually turning up and participating in the votes, as well as all the polling officials, the returning officers, deputy returning officers, those young men and women who are clerks in the various polling centers, for actually doing a very good job. Trevor, if we look at this whole concept financing in relation to elections, The journey started way back in 2012. Before 2012, we did not have any concept of trying to limit whatever finance is spent in campaigns or during the elections itself. When we started in 2012 to formulate, there was actually a need to control the vast amounts of money some candidates were using in the elections.
Have you been able to achieve that?
When we look at the legal regime which we used to try and control these spending limits and all this, first of all, we started from our source code. That is our basic law, the supreme law. That is the Constitution of 2010. The Constitution under Article 88(4)(1) gave express authority to the IEBC to control and to supervise the issue of campaign financing. Have you been able to do that? Yes, and to a certain extent, there have been challenges. What happened is that after the Supreme Law was enacted, that is the Constitution, we crafted a legislation, that is the Election Financing Act of 2013, to provide for control measures and regulatory measures and reporting mechanisms for this part of the political process. It was passed in 2013 by the honorable members of parliament. We need to understand that the act does not stand alone on itself. The act requires regulations to operationalize that act. It's provided for under section 29 of that act. There were regulations which were prepared by the IEBC, and the regulations were forwarded to Parliament, to the specific committee of the Parliamentary Committee on Devolved Legislation. And it was presented to them. And, well, Parliament, in its wisdom, has not yet enacted these regulations, which actually are meant to give teeth to the Election Campaign Financing Act and to operationalize. So it means as it stands, you're not able to regulate? Not financing at the moment. That is one of the challenges, because we held a meeting when we first presented the regulations to the Parliamentary Committee on Devolved Legislation. That was in 19th December 2016. And upon presentation to them for their approval and for them to send it over to the National Assembly for debate and eventual adoption, unfortunately, they did not do that. They did not do it. They did not do it. We'll come back to you to tell us now the way forward. Steve, you've been looking at that particular Election Campaign Financing Act 2013. Is it practical in your view? Because I see here, Part 4, Regulation of Expenditure, Cap 6, says each and every authorized person referred to in subsection 1, which is the polling people, shall open a campaign financing account and shall submit details of that account to the commission at the time of registration. That has almost never happened, right?
I think, Trevor, I think it's better to contextualize the problem before we get to the inner details. And I want to correct something coming from IBC. I love IBC. They do a great job, sometimes under difficult circumstances, and we support IBC. But in the matter of regulation of election campaign finances, it's a complete and total fail on the part of IBC, and there is no justification or rational explanation towards that. At best, it's a huge scandal. Listen, this constitution was enacted in 2010. It was supposed to regulate all the election management in 2013, 2017, you may call it 2017A, 2017B, and then now 2022. Part of our own internal design to preserve the integrity of the electoral process was control of the use of money in election. The Constitution speaks in mandatory terms. Article 88 of Article 4. IBC has unqualified obligation to regulate the use of money in election. And Article 88(1) compels IBC to ensure that there is no improper influence and or corruption in election. Election law experts and those who study election campaign financing know that money, the use of money, and he said it correctly, money is necessary to support candidate emergence. Otherwise, how do we know you are running? But money can also be used to alter public choice processes, which means over-investment of money in election campaign can influence how the voters view a particular candidate. The IBC has, I mean, let's be honest, IBC has failed spectacularly. In a perfect setting, the 2013 election, the 2017 election may not be deemed to be an election for purposes of the Constitution if you were to look at it strictly through the lenses of election campaign finance regulation. Now, there was an argument, and all of us are familiar with it, because on 24th December 2016, Parliament purported deliberately to suspend the Election Campaign Finance Act. You know, in terms of lawmaking, Trevor, Parliament does not have such a mandate. And I'm being honest to Kenyans, the functions of the legislative function of Parliament is limited to repealing legislation entirely, enacting a new legislation, or amending it. Once a law is in force, the idea that you can suspend a law that is in force is unheard of in any part of the country, in any part of the world. At commencement, at enactment, you can enact a law and then defer commencement. It happens all the time. We have the Public Benefit Act 2013, which President Kibaki assented to.
So you say IBC just failed on the implementation part. Is that
commencement was supposed to be upon gazettement. Once the law is in operation, you can suspend it. That would be a scandal. But Parliament suspended that law in a process that is of dubious legality. IBC conceded to that attempt, but if you look at the Elections Act, the Elections Act has several provisions that allows IBC to innovate within the challenges and ensure that campaign finance regulation is adhered to. So what I'm saying in short, IBC needs to concede. I love IBC, I always say, understanding how election management is done in this country, in a very chaotic, toxic political environment, IBC is always hard-pressed and almost always faulted. But on this particular matter, the least IBC can do is to concede a critical failure on their part insofar as campaign finance is concerned. So that is settled. But in terms of the practical implementation of this law, and I can tell you, you know, if you look at our system, when you want to regulate campaign financing, you have the egalitarian model, which our constitution seems to prefer. You have the libertarian model. The libertarian model, which is used in the US, it says election campaign finance is an act of expression. You know, your money, you express yourself. And that can't be, that's a right that can't be limited. Egalitarian means if you allow people to express themselves uncontrolled, other people can use that money to influence how you see them. Therefore, our constitution requires that we go through the egalitarian model. Did we do it in 2013? No. Did we do it in 2017? No. Are we going to do it in 2022? Sadly, no.
I'm going to give Jabani a chance to respond to that because he's the manager legal services and he'll tell us whether they just considered it. But Honorable John Paul Mwirigi, you managed to campaign on a very modest budget. In fact, most people say you're campaigning in a bicycle. How did you manage to navigate the issue around toa kitu ya macho mheshimiwa?
Thank you very much. First, I want to congratulate the contestant. They did the best, meaning that all the contestants who are here are all young people, meaning that they had passion to lead the Kibra people and to act for the justice of those people of Kibra. But unfortunately, it was not possible. On my side, John Paul, when I was campaigning, I didn't concentrate to those rich guys because I knew that they have money, and when someone have money, he can influence, he can do anything. For example, like what was being done in Kibra, the first contestants said that the political party factor played a lot in the politics of Kibra. And sometimes we as young people, when we want to lead this generation, there is some guys or some big political leaders who are the opinion makers, and whom people believe that if those gives us the direction, who to follow, that is the direction to follow. And that is where the Kenyan citizen normally feels. It is good for this country and for the people of this country to buy our policies. Because for me, I interacted with the citizens. I moved all over asking for the vote and familiarizing or identifying myself with the problems which the people of Wigembe South constituency were suffering from. So many people from the constituency, they were able to identify with me because they knew that I'm one of them. I'm from the background which they are currently.
So are we ready as a country for issue-based politics rather than party dynamics and money?
I don't know if the young people themselves, the young people themselves and the people of this country, if they will decide and sign off those political party leaders or those leaders whom we term as powerful leaders who influence. For example, in this country, there are, I think, 3 things which the citizens of this country follow. First, they follow a political party which is more famous. And if that political party can produce a leader today, let's say in a certain constituency or in a certain county, that leader currently is not living there. Let's say he is somewhere else or in diaspora. And that political leader, because he is a friend of that person, comes in a constituency and introduces that leader, the people of that constituency will buy that leader as of their choice. And when we go to the delivering of the development, that person will not deliver because he is not aware of what goes on in that constituency.
So then who is to blame in that scenario? Is it the people or the party that's fronting someone who doesn't necessarily live there?
The person to blame there is the people themselves. Because they are not ready to buy the policies of their own person who is there with them, who is at the grassroots, and who is living with them, who understands the problem which they are undergoing. Secondly, the same political parties are to blame, because if I am not a friend of a certain political leader, I will not get a chance to vie with a certain political party, so I will be put off, even if I have good policies to govern my people from my constituency. And second factor which the IEBC should focus on, the issue of using money. It's okay, you are supposed to use money to produce your posters, to send a text message, to advertise over the social media, but the extent of bribing the citizens. You see, the money factor plays a lot in election process, whereby if you do not have money, you cannot win many voters.
Because they demand for the money.
Because they demand for the money.
All right, I have to take a quick break now.
Myself, I was teaching the people of Wigembe South constituency, these guys who are giving us money, they have nothing to come and deliver to you. Because it is something which is practical. And even the people of Wigembe South constituency, they understood that. Because I was giving examples of the leaders whom were elected, and those leaders, because they used the money, they didn't deliver. Then they banned the point in this country for you to win, and what the citizens of this country believe. If you can do this, maybe you can win. If maybe you are involved in a certain scandal, maybe you are involved in corruption, or you have done something which is not positive, something negative, those people, they will elect you. Maybe if you strip yourself here, the people, I don't know what makes them to get interested with that leader so that they can
So you
elect
need
that
a scandal to catapult you into leadership.
So it is the high time for this country to change and buy policies, good policies which will change our constituencies and even this country.
All right. I have to take a quick break here on the Monday Report. Keep your views coming. Use the hashtag Monday Report. When we come back, I still have some candidates who haven't said anything. They'll tell us what they think the way forward is henceforth, because there's still a debate on whether you can be a leader in this country without money. I'm not talking about the basic money of posters and all that. I'm talking about the extra cash, the handout money, and how it is accounted for. At Citizen TV Kenya, Trevor Mbija. Hashtag Monday Report will sample some of your views during this broadcast right after the break.